That would be art. Welcome, everybody. We go back to the championship game with Clemson. I was really proud of the effort in the game. The game really was a competitive game that got out of control because we had 3 turnovers and 2 of them led to 14-point swings. And then we had a blocked field goal. The yardage was about the same. We had the ball more than they did. It was a more competitive game, weirdly enough, than Notre Dame because we stopped the run. Their young quarterback came in and made some plays. We had a 69-yard explosive we gave up. But the game should have been 24-17 going into the 4th quarter, late 3rd. And that's what we wanted to do, is get the ball game in the 4th quarter with a chance to win. The same problems kept popping up, other than we added turnovers because we had not been turning the ball over. But we were 1 for 5 in the red zone touchdowns, and we were in a position where we gave up 4 for 4 in red zone touchdowns for them. And that continues to be a storyline for us, and we've got to fix it. And it's something that really hurt us late in the year. I also thought our energy really dropped after the interception for a touchdown. We lost some confidence, and we can't do that. We've got to keep fighting. That turned potentially a 24-17 game into 31-10 and put us in a really bad spot, and then we didn't play as well. But you got to grow as a program. Notre Dame and Clemson were the 2 best teams we played this year, and those are the teams we have to beat to take another step. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to play Oregon, because Oregon's one of the best teams that's still out there. They've got a great quarterback, and we've got to keep playing these teams and learn how to play them and step up and beat them to take the next step. When you start looking at the coaching search, some people ask, why is it so confidential? You're protecting people that have jobs at the other places. I don't want to have a guy's name out there and then I don't take him. And people are mad that he looked at leaving and stayed. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I don't want a public debate over who we should hire that our players have to look at, the parents have to look at. I want to make that decision. So, and one of the problems that you folks have and that your readers have, Jeremy brought me some of the statements that were made, and there's some people that act like they know what they're doing that are absolutely wrong. They're just lying, and it's false, and it hurts the narrative for your readers. It hurts the narrative for people that are out there that I didn't even talk to. One of them said I was going to have a coach in waiting. I've been there. I've done that. That didn't work. I would never do that again. Another one brought up names of people I didn't even talk to and said, I know they're in negotiations, they're talking. I don't know how people can sit there and just lie. It's amazing to me. But it's sad because it's not fair to readers. And then they start getting all excited about this or that when they're not even in the narrative for sure. And what I was looking for is somebody to tweak the offense. I didn't need somebody to come in with a new offense. We need to have fewer tackles for loss. We need to have fewer sacks, which we had fewer this year than we had last year. And I thought we did a great job with our offense through 10 games. In the last 3, we didn't. Because we even had better red zone touchdowns until the last 3 games. And we went back to some old problems, and they were better defenses. But I thought that we got soft. And we didn't finish like we needed to. So what we've got to do, I thought we got too dependent on Drake this year because he was so good and our skill was so good that we could beat most people just by throwing and running down the field. To win championships, you got to run the ball and you got to stop the run. And until we can do those 2 things, we're not going to win any more games. And that's what I looked at when I addressed what we were doing. So we made John Lilly the run game coordinator, and I hired a guy named Chip Lindsey that worked with Coach Larry Porter at Auburn. Gus Malzahn really does a great job of running the ball. Coach Lilly is a run game guy from Georgia and the NFL. So then you add one of the best line coaches in the country that has done it everywhere he's been, Randy Clements, to the group. And Randy's very physical. He's old school. They knock him off and run north and south. And there's no sideways stuff. His zones are knock the down people into the linebackers. So I was trying to look at how do we fix the red zone offense. One of the things you do is run the ball better. And that's what I was looking for. We've got a great passing game. And then I needed to have a guy that could fit with the offensive line coach I was hiring, that was going to be more physical and redo our running game. And at the same time, he could get along with the guy in the passing game. And I kept hearing Chip's name come up. I've been around Chip. I met him some. Chip really believes in the air raid system. We want to keep it. We want to keep doing the things that we're doing well. I had long and good talks with Drake. And he said, Coach, let's get somebody who can teach me. And let's get somebody who will keep the great things we're doing on offense and can add some things. And as I looked at it, Chip was the perfect one for that. He's a great teacher. He's got two guys in the NFL that are quarterback guys. He and Randy Clements are very good friends. They've always wanted to work together. And they're very close in their philosophies. I hate the Browl system and the Malzahn system and the air raid system. It's really who's got the best players. And who's going to figure out how we get the ball to our best running backs, and who's going to figure out how to get the ball to the tight ends, and what about the Drake? How do we protect him better? So these two guys kept coming up, and then Lonnie Galloway, I made him passing game coordinator because Randy has agreed to keep basically the same terminology. He agreed that we're doing so many great things in the passing game. He didn't want to fix it, he wanted to tweak it. And I didn't want somebody coming in and starting over. I didn't want somebody coming in with their system. I want this system to get better. And that was very, very important as we were moving forward. I also looked at, I thought it was very impressive that Chip had 3 years at Troy, and his team this year was very, very good, so he can evaluate. They won 12 games. So 3 years to me isn't enough to be a head coach and get a program in the place where you want it. When you take it over, it's yours and it's different. And you've got whatever problems were there when it started, and you got to fix them. And obviously, his team this year was one of the best teams in the country. So really, really proud of that. When I coached against Randy before, they could run the football. And that's what he wants to do. And he started out the interview by saying, run the damn ball. He had a hat that all the linemen wore that said, run the damn ball. And he had a t-shirt on that said, run the damn ball. So I said, I got it, man. I'm in. Now let's start and go further with it because he does such a great job. He's a tremendous teacher. And again, I don't need drama. I don't need guys that want their system. I need guys that want to fix things. And then the other thing in the hiring process is Drake got offered a lot of money to go to different schools. It's tampering. It's 100% tampering, but he got offered money. He decided to stay. So for the first time in my career, I had him talk to a couple of the candidates I was talking to because it was important for me, not that he hire, but that I wanted his opinion before they got here because he decided to stay and he could have very well left. And most people would have left. And he believes in this place. He believes in this university. And it's his school. And that's why he stayed, or he would have gone if it had just been about the money. So I promised him I would get him a great teacher and would help him with footwork and would help him with his throwing motion. And Chip is a great teacher of quarterbacks. And we talked to his 2 pro quarterbacks. We talked to other people he's been with. And they felt the same way, and Drake's really excited about it. And Drake and I had strong conversations before we move forward with this, because the better Drake is, the better we are. And like I said, Drake didn't hire him, but he sure approved him, and that was very, very important to me as we were moving forward. Also, we're in a world of transfer portal. We're in a world of kids transferring out. We're in a world of transferring in. We're in a world of recruiting. So I needed somebody here. I needed them here as soon as we can to talk to recruits. I needed somebody who could talk to receivers that we're recruiting. So it was important that I move as quickly as I could and still be sensitive about bowl games for other people. Chip did not call the plays at Central Florida last year, so it was easy for Gus to let him go because Gus calls his plays. So I didn't disrupt the Central Florida staff. And Randy, we waited till after his bowl game, Saturday night, before he came. But now it's really helpful. Chip's been here since, I think, Thursday night. And they're not coaching, but they're on the field. They're sitting in meetings, they're listening, they're getting to know kids. And then Randy came in last night late. He was at practice all day today. So it's been good for them to get to know the kids, get to call all the recruits, get involved in the transfer portal recruiting, and help us move forward. So it's working really, really well. They will go home tomorrow, and then both of those families, the Clements and the Lindsays, will meet us at the bowl game and spend the 5 days out there with us. Not coaching again, but getting to know the players and the coaches as much as they can. The Holiday Bowl is a Tier 1 bowl. It's the highest rated bowl in the ACC other than the Orange Bowl. I'm very proud that they chose us. I've been there 5 or 6 times with Texas. It's a great place to be for our players. They'll love it. I think the average temperature is going to be about 75, maybe 65 at game time at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, a little bit different than this morning at practice. And I wanted a tough opponent. We got to keep playing. I know very few people are going to give us a chance. If people don't think we can win, we got to keep playing better people. We got to upgrade who we are. And that's what we wanted. We want this program to be a prominent program. And you can't do it by picking easy teams in bowl games and beating them. You got to play the best to be the best. It'll be a load, and we got it. But I still feel like that's the best thing for us to do. Lonnie Galloway is going to coach quarterbacks and receivers and call plays. And Rob Everett, a young analyst, was moved on the field, and he'll coach quarterbacks during the bowl game. John Lilly's helping with the offensive line. But we've got Caleb Pickrell, a young graduate assistant that's coaching offensive line. So guys are really resilient. They're just moving forward and doing the things that we need for them to do. I do think that in college football we need to look at changing the schedule back like it was in recruiting and have the second signing date. I would rather see it that coaches can't move until after their last game. It's very unfair to the players to have half your staff leave on one side of the ball. Don't have your play caller, and you don't have your offensive line coach, and it happens all across the country. I had to bring some in here. So I think it'd be better like the NFL, where we wait till after your last game before you can leave, and then don't have the early signing date because it didn't work like we all wanted it to, because now coaches are changing, kids have already signed, and they want out. So slow it all down a little bit and move it back and make sure that it's what it should be. Coaches aren't even asking for permission anymore, which was really important in integrity when I was growing up in this business for years. I still do it, but coaches are walking in and saying, I'm leaving and going to another job on the spot, and you're sitting there saying, what do I do this afternoon? Without any time to prepare. So I'd like to see it where we go back and do things right with integrity and call and ask permission to talk to a coach and have a day or two to think about it before somebody just walks in and says that they're leaving. We'll leave on the 23rd, yes, we'll leave on the 23rd. We'll have Christmas out there. We had Christmas at the Military Bowl, and it was fun, and the guys will enjoy it. We'll let them go home after tomorrow's practice, and they will actually have a Christmas at home that they can have their makeshift Christmas, and then we'll all go out together on the 23rd. We have some graduates that are going to play in the game, and that'll be the last game that they will play with us. Antoine Green will obviously play in the game and then go to the NFL. Brian Anderson has done a great job for us. This will be his last game. Ed Montelis has decided that this will be his last game. He's had enough football, so he'll play and then go into the real world. Obi Agbuna, I think he wants to be a doctor, so he'll play in his last game and move forward. Jaleel Taylor's playing in his last game. All these guys are graduates, and then I think Jaleel's going to go ahead and play somewhere else if he can. Dante Balfour, Kendall Carr, Dontavius Nash, and Keyshawn Silver are playing in the game, and then they're in the transfer portal, so they will transfer. We allowed the guys to play in the game that have done everything right to help us get to the game. And if they want to transfer to get more playing time, I totally understand that. And they have been great. They've worked really hard, and they've prepared to try to help us win the game.
Mack,
awesome.
Can you run those over again? I'm sorry, I missed one.
Which ones?
I got Dante Balfour, Kendall Carr, Keyshawn Silver toward the end.
Dontavius Nash.
Dontavius Nash.
And they'll all play in the bowl game?
They'll all play in the bowl game.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I tell you all that, and we're over a week from the bowl game, so it could change. But as of today, in my life, they will all play in the game.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Okay, no, that's good. Awesome Richards he and Corey Gaynor are checking their status with the NFL, and that doesn't have to happen till the 14th of January when they declare. So Coach Moody is working with them and their families to try to figure out exactly what their status is so they can make a decision of whether they want to come back or not. Cedric Gray has told me that he is 100% coming back, which is great news for us in North Carolina because he's one of the best players in the country, and he wants to come back and make sure he has a chance to finish this thing right. It's a crazy time for head coaches. I think this is the other reason we need to look at when you're trying to have coaches leave and coaches come. You think about it, we got the transfer portal, so you got some going out, you got some coming in, so we're recruiting transfer guys. You've got your normal recruiting. You've got practice for your bowl game, so you practice in the morning. You go out to see the high school kids and who have already come in to visit, and then you come back and host transfers, and you're trying to recruit your own team to keep guys on it so they won't transfer. And the guys that are transferring, you're trying to help them find the right place. You're hiring coaches at the same time, and then you're dealing with NIL, which is completely out of control in recruiting. People are absolutely purchasing people in recruiting, and they're purchasing them off your campus. Our Heels for Life, which is our collective, they do it right here. You're not supposed to offer people money before they come to your campus. You're not supposed to do it for play. You're supposed to have them earn the right through the collective and appearances to gain opportunities. That's not happening in a lot of places, and I'm so proud of Heels for Life that it is happening here. We're doing it right. We're doing it fair. We actually had a recruit in the other day that was a transfer, and he went to another school. We thought he was coming here. He called us after he got there 30 minutes. He said, "Coach, they offered me this, this, and this, so I'm going." He didn't even see the campus. He just got off the plane. So I hate it, but cheaters cheat. That's the way it is out there. They are actually just purchasing kids, which I hate. And I don't think, and there is some that are saying now that a lot of the promises that are being made aren't being fulfilled. So we're going to see lawsuits. We're going to have guys that don't get what they wanted, or they didn't play well enough and they're not going to pay them what they said they were going to pay them. But the NCAA needs to look very, very closely at tampering and that people who are paying guys up front and not going through the collective and doing it the proper way, because it is completely out of control.
Question with all tampering and Drake's value is obvious. Did the Heels for Life get involved with him in terms of, with some of those schools talking to his family and they had to do something?
Right. Art, I don't know that because I'm not supposed to be involved. So I stay completely out of that. Heels for Life, they have a boss Grant Boone, who's a Moorhead scholar that was here, that was an agent. And what they do is visit with our young players through the NCAA rules, and they're doing it exactly right. I don't know how many players on our team are involved with Heels for Life, and I don't have any idea of the opportunities that any of them have. And that's the way it's supposed to be done. So I'm staying completely out of it. So in closing here, tough game with Oregon. Again, they lost their offensive coordinator. We've lost ours. Again, I'd like to see that adjusted so we could have a better opportunity. Kids have practiced hard. We're going to have 12 practices for this bowl game. We'll only have 15 in the spring. So this is a great opportunity for a lot of young guys to get work that haven't gotten it before. This morning, Coach Clemens sat and watched the offensive line. For him to be able to see those guys and talk to them, meet with them individually before we start in January is just invaluable. So excited about the two hires. I think they fit us perfectly. I'm looking forward to tweaking the offense, keeping the passing game like it needs to be. But we've gotten soft in the running game. I remember Coach Bryant got beat by Vanderbilt when he was at Alabama, and quarterback was like 4 for 24, 4 for 28, something like that. Coach Bryant made the statement after the game that I'll never ever be in a football game again where I let the performance of one guy get me beat, and that puts too much pressure on your quarterback. So you've got to run the ball, and we did that well with our two great backs when we first got here. We've never run the ball well on the goal line, and that's one of the major things I want done. I want us to get tougher. I want us to get more physical. I want us to have more downhill runs, and therefore produce fewer tackles for loss. A running game is a quarterback's best friend because it's harder to get a pass rush when you're having to stop the run. The last time North Carolina played a Randy Clements offense, they ran for 685 yards. So they know what they're doing, and that's why he's hired. And he and you look at he and Chip, their relationship. They've always wanted to work together in that room, and not wanting to change everything, and even working to keep a lot of the similar verbiage with the offense, and being physical in the running attack from Malzahn and from the Browl system, and Chip. You'll when you meet him, he's a relationship guy. He's going to make things work. So able to not bring your ego in here and want to change everything with an offense that's 75-80% really, really good. We just need to run the ball better, and we got to score more points in the red zone. Questions?
Coach, who are some of the schools that offer Drake May money?
I can't say that, and don't ask Drake. He's a young guy, and it's uncomfortable for him. You know who they are. Just look at all the ones that are getting the top recruits. They're the ones paying all the top money. So just you can figure that out. Take 2 of those 10, and you're right. You got it.
But here,
It could, and probably more than the 2 that I know of.
a quick follow-up though, isn't the best way to kind of expose what's going on and eliminate what's going on is putting pressure on them by you giving us that information so we can share that and kind of expose what's going on?
It's a great question. The problem is it's all done through agents, and they would absolutely say it was a lie.
So there's no paper trail or there's
No paper trail, there's no way to prove it. It's all agent to agent.
Coach, with Phil Longo's decision to leave, we haven't talked about that. I mean, when did you find out? What was that process, the conversation you all had? And then your thoughts on just he was great at UNC for the 4 seasons.
Yeah, Ross, he did a great job. Like I said, I want to score more touchdowns in the red zone. I think, I forgot Ross.
So it was Wednesdays when it broke that he was leaving.
He did say it Wednesday.
That's when it broke.
I think he called me Tuesday night leaving the house and told me he was going to Wisconsin. I was leaving the recruit's house, and he was texting me while I was in the house. And then I walked out, and he said, hey, I'm going to Wisconsin. And I said, well, I'll see you tomorrow. So, and I said, you're going to take Jack with you, I guess? He's your guy? And he said, yes. I said, okay. So the next day I got back to the office, I talked to Drake, I talked to Phil, I talked to Jack, they were gone. So that's how fast it happens.
Did you have any inclination it was happening a couple weeks before?
No.
He was talking to the other schools?
No, not one word. I knew that Phil was a friend of Coach Fickles.
I mean, to add to that, has there been any like surprises, like in the amount of transfers from coaches to players that you've experienced? Like, is it kind of unexpected for you?
No, if you look at it, there's transfers everywhere. I don't like that we've gotten so many transfers across the country. And what's happened, and I was very honest with our players, but what's happened is I've told our players, life's too short. If you're not happy, go, and I'll help you go. And all but 2 of ours left because of lack of playing time, really. And those 2 is just different circumstances, and they're great kids, and I don't want to talk about it. But I mean, I was talking at lunch today with some that went to visit this weekend after our Saturday practice. How's your visit? Can I help you? Do you need me to call a coach? And it's just different. It's just absolutely different. I had some this weekend, come in this weekend we've played against this year. And I said, man, I watched you against us on film yesterday. You look real good. And I know you hate us, so I know this is kind of uncomfortable with you coming in when you're told how bad we are all the time. We're bad people. They just laugh, cut up. So college football is in a real different spot than it's ever been in. And there's some good things about the NIL for sure, and there's wonderful stories. I wish the ones that don't go by the rules wouldn't tarnish that and make it look worse. There's some great things about the transfer portal. I wish we could tweak it differently and change it some so there aren't so many. It's just amazing. Every time I turn on a bowl game now, yeah, he transferred from. It's just different. And at the same time, it gives you a chance to upgrade your roster. I mean, if we have a second teamer leave and a first teamer come in from another school, we can have a better team that you didn't recruit for 4 years. And another problem with it is high school recruiting. Every high school I'm going in, the high school coach says, I've got a really good player, not a great player, a really good player that would have gotten scholarship offers his entire life. And now the coaches are telling him, we're looking in the portal first. If we don't find what we want, we'll come back and look at you at the second signing day. So we're really, really hurting high school recruiting. And then you add the COVID year to it. I mean, we got some guys that are going to have 6 years. And with the COVID year, that takes another scholarship away from a high school player. So it's we got a lot of things that need to be fixed.
So what's your policy, is there a policy, if someone enters the portal, tests the waters, don't like it, and wants to come back, will you take them back? What's your policy?
I haven't. There's only one guy that has done that, and that was Day Hollins, and he went in and said, hey, I saw a couple of defensive backs are leaving, can I come back? And it was immediate, and I said, sure. But my plan is if somebody decides they're not happy and they want to get in the portal and they go visit and they're looking, then I'm going to help them get a spot because I'm filling those spots. They're filled up fast. So if you're leaving, you date, I date. You look for a spot to go, I look for a spot to come in. So that's just life. That's the way it is.
Bill said that his process with Luke took about 36 hours before he made the final decision. I guess that's probably when he let you know. Do you have a list of guys you might be interested in case he left? Or because the way things are happening now, do you need to have that list moving forward?
I keep a minimum of 10 names at every position. And I'm not going to give you the names. I'm the only one that knew the process. So when all the guys on the websites had those names come up that Jeremy would bring me, I'd say, I don't know how a guy can consciously get on there and say, I know that, when it's not happening. So I talked to 2 guys, seriously, about the offensive coordinator's job. I only talked to one about the line job. And it didn't take very long. Neither one of them took very long. But I keep 10 names. Pat and I keep them. I keep them active because I may I was sitting watching somebody last year, and I had him on there as a defensive coordinator, possible defensive coordinator, and I think they gave up 70. I text Pat and said, scratch him, he gone. So we constantly update it and go up and down, and it's not just the best guy, it's the best guy that fits who we are and who we can pay. You know, some guys now, some coordinators are making $2 million, and we don't have a budget, so it all just has to fit with what we need at the time.
With your conversation with Chip, you had mentioned a few minutes ago about how some coordinators will come in, they have the ego, they want to have their system. How did that conversation play out when you said, look, we like what we have, we just need to tweak it, and we think you're the guy that can tweak it?
He said, I love the system. He's a football junkie, he's a high school coach. He said, I've watched all your games. I love Drake. He said, you're doing some amazing things. I wouldn't want to change those things. He said, I think I can help some in the running game. And he said, we'll look at the verbiage. I'd want to keep it for Drake and the players and the coaches that are there. So every time I would have a longer conversation with him, I was more convinced that he was the right guy for this program at this time.
As a quick follow-up to that, so the work that the guys are getting right now preparing for the bowl, the offensive guys, especially the younger ones, what they're doing now is what they're going to do in the new year after this season is concluding. You guys get ready for the spring. So
Yes.
for them, they're not losing out right now because things are going to change. It's all going to stay the same.
No, the offensive kids are really, really excited. Even the offensive linemen, the running backs are more excited that we're going to go back and get back to where we were or better in the running game because we just got away from it.
Mack, when you were talking with Chip and Randy in the interview process, did they give you the implication that, you know, if you hired one, you would need to hire the other, that they were a package deal?
No, it was really interesting though when I was talking to Randy, because you want to hire an offensive line coach and a coordinator that fit and work together. It was really interesting when I was talking to Randy, he brought Chip's name up. And he was talking about guys he'd always liked to work with, and in fact, that's Chip's family. So hi, guys.
Are they available?
Yeah, you want to come to? They could probably handle the press conference better than I could. They've been around this coaching stuff the whole time. But he absolutely did that. And then when I talked to Chip, I said, you know Randy, and he said, oh yeah, man, I'd love to work with Randy. We've tried to make that work our whole careers. We got the same thoughts and same philosophies, and we're good friends, and we'd like to make it work. And then I love the fact that Chip was a head coach. He's been in my chair. He understands the questions and the problems and the pressures you've got, and he'll want to help keep those out of my office. And that's really important as well. So now I've got a head coach running the offense, a previous head coach running the offense, and previous head coach running the defense, and that really helps me. And Chip's a really good person with relations. He's going to be able to talk to everybody, and he's going to rally everybody around, and then figure out what the best thing to do is. And I can tell he and the coaches are already. I watch them. They're high-fiving, fist bumping, laughing, cutting up, and it's been 3 days. So that's great progress.
You mentioned the involvement